Guests, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to welcome you all here tonight to the annual town meeting 2024. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Councillor Paul Carter and I'm currently leader of the Sandwich Town Council. You should find copies of the agenda and the accounts available on your chairs, and we have a selection of DDC, STC, that's Sandwich Town Council, and KCC, as well as some other authorities that are here tonight. I'll introduce them in a minute. And if you can't hear, please ask people to speak up so that you can hear. Okay? There's a bit of housekeeping to begin with. The first one, of course, is the normal one. Can you make sure that you've switched off your phones? If you're churchgoers, you will know about this little factor there. The other one is if the fire alarms do go off, run after me and I'll show you where to go. Basically, the fire escapes, to be quite sensible, are behind you, and we have them at either side of the stage as well. So I should be doing this. Thank you very much. What I'll do first of all is I'll get some introductions to you, and I'll start off on my left with the town councillors. So I'd like the town councillors to stand up and introduce themselves, please. Starting with Colin.
Yep, Colin Wiles.
I'm Martin Pennington. Good evening, Emmett Shuker.
Good evening, Mark Morehouse.
Good evening, Simon Merritt. Good evening, Dean Marie.
Good evening, Your Honour. Councillor Jeff Franklin.
Vicky Tompkins.
Good evening, Lynn Ripley.
Good evening, I'm Ian Black.
Good evening, Daniel Carter.
Thank you very much. And so this is my elite crew who helped me to get everything done here at the council. The next important person I'd like to introduce is, of course, the one and only Town Clerk. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jill Brody, Town Clerk.
Thank you very much for that. And then moving over to this side, we have some very distinguished guests here tonight. We're very lucky to get guests from DDC, KCC, the police, what have you, and I'll get them to introduce themselves as well. If you have any particular questions, they need to go to the particular departments, if that's okay.
No, you can start with whoever you want. I'm Kevin Mills, I'm the leader at Guildhall District Council. A few minutes I was the leader of the 24th of May last year. Sorry. No, don't worry.
I'm Roger Walton, Strategic Director at Dover District Council.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sue Chandler. I'm your Kent County Councillor at Sandwich.
Hi everyone, Julian Thompson, I represent Pfizer.
Neil Baker, Kent County Council Cabinet Member, Highways and Transport.
Good evening, everyone. My name is PC Lorelei Jackson. I am the new Beat Officer for Sandwich.
I see you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Peter Gill. I'm the Kent County Council Community Ward for the Sandwich area.
Good evening, Dan Friend from Dover District Council.
Thank you very much for that. We did think we were going to have the Police and Crime Commissioner here tonight, and possibly it was the Chief Constable may have been coming as well, but perhaps they might turn up later. The roads aren't too good out there, are they? So, anyway, moving on. Item number 2 is apologies for absence. Town Clerk, did we have any apologies?
Yes. So we have apologies from Councillor Nick Gray. These are STC councillors. Councillor William Fortescue, Councillor Claire Ungerson and Councillor Peter Breen, and also the leader of KCC, Councillor Roger Goff.
Thank you very much for that. And the next item, if I can get that out, is for the Mayor's annual report for 2023-24 and presentation of council achievements in since May 2023. Also, I'm going to be told off. I needed to actually inform you in the housekeeping that our very lovely lady that does the filming tonight is this is being filmed to put onto the
YouTube, and this is a Facebook live stream.
So this will be going on YouTube and Facebook. I think it's mainly the chaired areas in the front here. So if you're sat where you are currently, you won't get filmed. And if you don't want to be filmed, please stay out of the chaired area at the front here, if that's okay. Thank you very much for that. Super, that's good. Okay. Right, so Mayor of Sandwich speech, annual town meeting, Wednesday the 10th of April 2024. Good evening, honoured guests, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. 2023 has been a very difficult year of reconciliation, recognition and rebuilding. It's been a year of very hard work for the councillors and also the Guildhall staff. It could be defined as a move from almost relative chaos to very strong stability. This time last year we had 5 staff vacancies, including no permanent qualified town clerk. We had asset issues, we had impending forecourt building works, we had very ambiguous policies, a lack of staff and councillor training. The majority of my councillors had been newly elected and were just finding their feet, and there was a lack of regular maintenance, staff morale and self-promotion were at an all-time low. And that's after we'd had 2 years of internal conflict and wrangling, social media wars, and it could be said we weren't in a very good place actually. So, but today, what have we got today? The situation isn't fully perfect, but it's massively much better. And due to a lot of hard work, we've recruited an excellent full-time qualified town clerk, and she's been helping me to recruit and build a new Guildhall staff team. And we've filled 4 out of the 5 vacancies, and the staff that we've recruited are very qualified, very engaged and very dedicated, so we're very lucky. Thank you very much. And we've also, so that means we've delivered on the recruitment, and we've got a great Guildhall staff now. And a lot of them, including the caretakers, get praise on a daily basis, so we must be getting something right. The Guildhall itself has risen from the ashes, or building dust, should I say, by gaining a newly refurbished forecourt. This was with the help of Kent County Council and Dover District Council, and this is a vast improvement on the previous one, making the centre of Sandwich look very refreshed and very new again. Maintenance improvements on the Guildhall have been undertaken. Bookings are up, especially for weddings, and we've got a very good reputation for weddings. We had one here this Saturday, which was a magnificent event. It's a shame, I think this is some of the trappings of it from Saturday actually, but it was a quite impressive event. So, and one of the most important things is the old Citizen Advice Bureau rooms have been expertly refurbished by our caretaking team, so at no cost to the public purse, are now being used for internal and external meetings and hirings. So we've added extra capacity to what we've already got in the Guildhall here. And these rooms are fully DDA compliant, which supports the council's move to supporting disability access in the town. Last October, if any of you were present, we had an international peace ceremony, and this was to install a peace memorial in the Guildhall forecourt, and this was with Sandwich being the first in the UK at the time, when there were many new conflicts in the world. It showed that Sandwich was leading the way again, striving for peace and compassion. And this has built also strong new links with our European counterparts in France and Belgium. Community working has flourished, and we've recently had a project where we've supplied hygiene kits to local secondary schools, and this was via a grant from KCC and CALC, central government funding, and we've also organised many community litter picks, including Keep Britain Tidy initiative, which we had 2 weeks ago in conjunction with Dover District Council. I also held, 2 weeks ago, I held a Volunteers Awards evening, and this was to honour and thank the town's many hard-working volunteers and unsung heroes, who, without them, this town just wouldn't be such a wonderful place. So, just to recoup, my action plan for the past year was to appoint a permanent town clerk, and that's been a great success. Thank you, Jill. To review the IT and website provision for the town council, and both the IT provision and the website has been successfully moved to brand new research providers. Excuse me. Bringing vast improvements to the services and security of all the public data. So thank you very much to, this was done via the IT working group, so thank you very much to them. We said we'd improve communications with residents, so as well as a new website, a new Facebook page, and giving residents instant updates and notices, we've also held public consultations on major changes. Some of the councillors have also held councillor drop-in sessions both in North and South Sandwich, and these have been taking place on a regular basis with the police and the KCC warden. And of course now, thanks to Christina, all of our council meetings and committees are all filmed for transparency. So thank you for that. A review of the Tollbridge grants process was another matter that we said we'd look at, and that's currently underway. More improved processes have been adopted and are planned to be completed very soon. We said we'd set up a standalone charity for the Georgina Maddox legacy, and this has been held up due to legal and probate processes, so due to no fault of the council. But we've now set up a separate charity, and the funds have safely been invested. And after a consultation and very detailed discussion, a decision has been made on the property called Bayhall, sorry. And these funds will all support local-based Sandwich organisations and charities only within our town, and this will be to aid and assist those who need it most. We've reviewed the terms of reference and the standing orders through much hard work by the Standing Orders Working Group, and these have been improved to remove ambiguity and confusion to achieve better governance and due diligence. We've fought hard to address the relocation of the Guildhall bus stand, but despite many meetings with the stakeholders and vast amounts of councillors' time in liaison with the transport agencies, this has not been solved. So this is one that unfortunately we didn't achieve on this one. I apologise, but we haven't given up, and it perhaps requires further liaison with KCC and DDC with some action hopefully soon. We had options for the Tourist Information Centre office in the Guildhall, and this was, we weren't able to move it back to where we had it before on the end of the Guildhall due to the previous council administration made arrangements, an agreement, so we couldn't move it back where it was before. But we have got some summertime options which we hope to put into place to improve tourism. And lastly, we've set up and continued the Disability Working Group, and we've got a number of improvements that are up for review in the forthcoming year with my Deputy Mayor, who is Councillor Claire Ungerson, but I don't think she's here tonight. So, thank you. So that's what we said we'd do last year, and apart from one, we've done it. So that's good. On top of these achievements, amazingly, the council has supplied grants to events groups to maintain the events calendar in the town. It's made longer opening hours of the current Tourist Information Centre, including Fridays as well. It's worked with local businesses on town centre promotions and business issues. It's provided long overdue health and safety, first aid and mandatory training to staff. And I can tell you they only did the first aid yesterday, so if anybody has any issues, we can look after you this evening. So, and it's made best practice improvements to the staff pay scales. So we adopted the NAUC staff pay scales and contracts. So this has improved the staff working conditions. We've also supported the traditions of the town and the sink ports, so including Battle of Britain, Remembrance Parade, and shortly the D-Day ceremonies. We've maintained all of those. And the Mayoress and I have attended over 100 different events to promote the town and fly their flag to the sink ports. And despite Deal thinking they're the best sink port, I've always put them straight on that, they're not. We've also obtained new market gazebos. Rather, I should say that the town clerk obtained market gazebos. So we've got lovely new gazebos for the market, which came courtesy of Dover District Council. We've also vastly expanded the Thursday market, which has grown month on month and is now at capacity. And I'd like to thank Councillor Chuka for standing in whilst we haven't had a market manager. Councillor Chuka has been a real stalwart, getting up really early on a Thursday morning to make sure that our market was achieved what it should achieve and was there every Thursday. And in fact, I'd like a round of applause for Councillor Chuka. That's very well deserved. He does more than the lion's share there. So thank you for that. We've also, going back quite a long time, we fought the closure of the waste transfer site at Richborough successfully, and as far as I know from the KCC budget, that's not being closed this year either. So we're on to a good thing there. So. And then lastly, we've completed the new archive storage and maintain new exhibitions and museum improvements as well. So my plan for the forthcoming year will be to do the following. We urgently need to recruit an assets officer who would take on both being the market manager role and promote the town and the markets, so Councillor Chuka can have a Thursday off. We're also going to work to assess, review and support all of the current Sandwich Town Council owned assets. via a working group and offer them assistance. So items such as the cinema that are on a very small budget and possibly need some business assistance or business help, we're going to help them to make the best of the assets they've got. And that will include the White Mill and the Drill Hall as well. We're in the process of introducing a new finance and booking software package, and this will streamline the finances in the Guildhall, and it will give greater financial reports, and it will assist with electronic bookings at the Guildhall in future. We're going to be working with Dover District Council on a new project that's long overdue, and this is to improve the refurbished Bulwarks play area. This is down on the quayside, if you're not too sure where this is, and also to renew the maintenance contract for the other existing play areas, so they're all brought up to date and they will have full safety audits, which is what we want for our children. We're also renewing the councillors' IT equipment so that they can work more efficiently with better, improved and more secure services for the use of the public data that they use. They might even work harder if I give them new laptops as well. Also, we're going to introduce a town council-led community magazine, and this is something that's come from the town clerk that she did in the previous role, and I'm really looking forward to this. So if you do have any stories or any items that need publicity, please come and see us in the summer, and hopefully we'll have this up and running. We're also introducing, once again from the marvellous Councillor Chuka, we're looking to introduce a new Saturday market, because the Thursday market's at full capacity, and also a range of specialist markets to fully utilise the Guildhall forecourt to increase footfall and tourism to the town, so that the other businesses also get the privilege of increased footfall. There's a number of council-led projects that I don't really have time, you'll be glad to hear, to tell you about, but from the Heritage and Tourism Committee, all of us have chosen our own sort of pet subjects to work on in the town, and these projects I'll be able to tell you about later in the year. Anyway, that's enough from me. As I stated last year, the council is vastly exceeding its statutory duties. We're only a town council, so we aren't supposed to do half of what we actually do. And the items I've stated are just a few of our achievements and our work tasks that we're working on. So I wanted to conclude by saying both the Mayor, that's me, the Mayoress, and the end there, and all the absolute fantastic councillors who have done so much this year, have worked have supported me and the officers of the Guildhall to make the best of your public funds and the facilities, so that our lovely town is a great place to work, to live and enjoy. And thank you very much for listening to me going on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Hopefully, I think there might be a little bit of duplication here, so I do apologise. But I've got a few slides just to hopefully share with you some of the achievements since I've been with Town Council. So the Mayor's already mentioned a new website for the Council. The Council completed a robust tender process to find a new website provider, and we've now launched the new website for Sandwich Town Council. There will be further improvements to the content and design of the website over the coming weeks, and we do welcome feedback from the community. That would be much appreciated. So the recruitment campaign for the Council. Since the last annual town meeting, we commenced the restructuring exercise and we filled a number of vacant positions. 2 new positions were created, an assistant clerk, and that position is now filled, and the assets officer, as the Mayor described earlier, which is due to be advertised as a permanent role in the coming months, maybe April, potentially May. We might miss April. The current structure is shown on the next slide, and also this will be the next stage for the Human Resources Committee to review the resources and budget for the Council and the Tollbridge Fund. So that's just a slide to show you the current staffing structure here. So there's Sandwich civic events. There've been quite a lot since I started. The Right Worshipful, the Mayor of Sandwich and Mayoress has, he said, represented the town outside Sandwich at various civic events over the past year. And the council's hosted civic events and facilitated the Peace Monument for Sandwich, which was the first in the UK. The unveiling was undertaken by Vice Lord Lieutenant Brigadier Trevor Minter, OBEDL, who's the King's representative in Kent, and was accompanied by the Mayor of Ronset in Belgium and the President of the Royal Federation of Belgian Veterans. Other civic events have included the Deputy Supper, Battle of Britain Day, Remembrance Sunday, civic service at St Clement's Church, and the Mayor's Volunteer Thank You event. There have been other events and activities supported by the Council as well. We've worked with various organisations and other local authorities and community groups, and there have been events and various activities that have included a network rail event that was an informative talk relating to the safety systems used at level crossings, litter picks in collaboration with Dover District Council to mark the Great British Spring Clean, Town Council and Kent Police drop-in sessions hosted at 2 venues in the town, community hedgerow planting at Cowley's Meadow in collaboration with the voluntary tree warden for Sandwich, the curfew bell ringer supper, the tourism forum was just launched as well. We had the first meeting here in the hub, and meet and greet community day with Kent Police engaging communities team. Thursday market in the forecourt, following the refurbishment of the Guildhall forecourt, the Thursday market has returned to this space. The Council continues to support the market and the traders as it continues to grow, and we've recently received 12 gazebos. Thanks very much to Dover District Council for that opportunity for funding by the UK Prosperity Fund, and they're being used for market and community events as well. Other council projects and initiatives, the one that was absolutely closest to my heart was the Parish Winter Support Scheme, and we were successful in our application for the maximum grant available of almost £1,500. It was a collaborative initiative between Kent Association of Local Councils and Kent County Council to administer the Household Support Fund. And the money was used to purchase hygiene items, and we delivered hygiene packs through to 2 local sandwich stores. The Bookmarks Play Area project, we're pleased to be working with Dover District Council in partnership to support this Play Area project for the Bookmarks. And there will be consultation taking place for this project soon. The hub, which you can see in the picture actually with the hygiene items, that has been refurbished and that's complete, and it's now a welcoming space that's being used for meetings, comfort breaks for our local community warden and PC, and also a training space for the staff. New IT contracts, so following this successful tender process, the new IT support provider Cloudy IT has been appointed by the Council, and the IT services will continue to be improved and reviewed as the Council completes its migration process and training. In addition, Advantage is a new finance software package that has been purchased, and the finance reporting will move across to the new system from the new financial year. Training. So the Council's commenced an extensive training programme for staff and councillors, and the importance of training and development cannot be understated. The Council has a duty of law to ensure that all employees are trained to the appropriate level for their role in the Council, and training enriches the performance of a local council and benefits the community. Not forgetting our lovely Sandwich Guildhall Museum. So the museum has seen several improvements over the past year, with an increase of around 3,500 visitors and an increase of over £2,000 across donations and shop income compared to the previous year. So I really want to congratulate our museum coordinator. 95% of comments received through the visitor surveys were very positive, and around 50% of the comments were specifically about the enthusiastic and knowledgeable volunteer fantastic team we have here at the Guildhall Museum, which has expanded over the past year. To ensure the museum is meeting the national standard for the management of its collection, the museum team has been working hard to carry out a full inventory. This is a big task. Over 5,500 items have been listed and numbered so far, as well as over 900 items from the reference library. Temporary exhibitions at the museum. There have been a few this year in the museum, and over the past year there are plans to continue this during 2024 and 2025. In June this year, the museum will be hosting an exhibition in commemoration of the 80th anniversary of D-Day. So any contributions of stories or memorabilia of those from the town who served in the Second World War are very welcome. There's a survey for residents online and on paper. I've actually got some at the front here if you want one this evening. For those of you that are interested in sharing your thoughts and suggestions about the museum work. The team is incredibly grateful to those who show their support by providing feedback. And it's hoped improvements will continue to be made, and this will be another successful year for the museum. So, getting down to finances. So, Sandwich Town Council expenditure, because as you know we have the Town Council and the Torbridge Fund. So this is just a demonstration on the slide of the segments of how the expenditure is broken down, and that was for last year. And this is unaudited expenditure accounts. The next slide is the Torbridge Fund expenditure, and that again is a visual interpretation of where the money was spent last year. So this is just purely expenditure. Georgina Maddox's legacy update. So there has been a consultation exercise. It has been discussed at length at Sandwich Town Council, the request, and a consultation exercise was undertaken to establish the demand for using Bay Hall as a community hub. 53 questionnaires were issued to local organisations and 17 responses were received when we extended the deadline to the 5th of January 2024. Of the 14 responses, 7 expressed an interest. Registering the charities, the governance documents have now been drafted to register the charity in the name of Georgina Maddox. There have been a few maintenance activities undertaken at Bay Hall. The central heating board has been serviced, a new thermostat fitted, electrical safety testing undertaken, remedial electrical works undertaken, deadlocks and padlocks had to be fitted. There was a broken double glazed unit that has been replaced. Some weeding has been done, the driveway has been kept clean and the grass cut there. Tree works have been completed, gutters cleaned and drains rodded. Tree pruning has also taken place, but there are further works required to address a large conifer and trees to the boundary along the Guestling stream. As the Mayor said earlier, the decision has been taken by the Council to sell Bay Hall, and it is now going to approach 3 independent agents with a view to marketing the property Bay Hall on the open market for sale. All interested parties will be notified when an agent is appointed, as all inquiries will be handled by the agent. Thank you very much.
Returning to the agenda, with item number 5 is the statement of accounts. Big pardon, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Big pardon. Item number 4 is minutes of the previous annual town meeting, and this is to approve the minutes of the annual town meeting held on Wednesday, the 24th of May 2023, and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in the agenda. These minutes are also available at www.sandwichtowncouncil.gov.uk, and printed copies are also available from within the Guildhall. And this is attachment number 1, and it should look something like this, if you've got that at all. I believe there was one amendment. Councillor Mills was actually leader of DVC at the time of the meeting, so that needs to be updated. Thank you. That's most important. Don't want to upset him. So, did anybody else have any matters from these minutes or any amendments at all?
Yes, so Councillor Murray, Councillor Pennington, Councillor Anderson did not attend, so I'll amend that as well in the minutes.
Super, thank you very much for that. Councillor Morehouse.
I'm the dual capacity as a BBC councillor and as a
Dual capacity for that one. Were there any other matters arising? No? I think that's all clear. Okay then. And so I'd like to propose these minutes, I'd ask one of my councillors, Emmett Chuka, to second those, and I'd ask the councillors, those in favour, please give me a show of hands if you approve them. Okay, I think that's, thank you very much for that. Are there anybody abstaining? Councillor Gray, none against. Thank you very much. So those minutes have been passed by the Town Council. Thank you very much for that. Item number 5 is statement of accounts, and this is to receive the unaudited financial statement of accounts as at 31st of March 2024. And this is for Sandwich Town Council and Sandwich Tollbridge Fund. The previous year's audited accounts can be accessed at the same website, www.sandwichtowncouncil.gov.uk, and also on the Charity Commission website. And this is attachment number 2, and this should look something, I don't know if you can see it, but with quite a large number of figures on it there as well. So, and as I say, if anybody wants copies of these in a larger size or different format, we can supply them. So, okay then. And so I'd ask I'm prepared to propose these accounts. Could I have a seconder from the Town Council? That's Councillor Black. And all those in favour from the Town Council, please show by your hands. Okay, I think that's unanimous. Thank you, Town Clerk. So that item has been passed as well. Item number 6 is funding from the Tollbridge Fund. For those of you that don't know, we have a separate entity to the Town Council called Sandwich Tollbridge Fund, and the money from the Tollbridge Fund is used each year to give grants to local community groups and organisations. So tonight we're very lucky, we've got an opportunity to hear from representatives of local community groups who have benefited from this fund from financial support from the Tollbridge Fund. Okay. So the first one we have is Carrie Morrison from Salute the 40s event. Is Carrie here? Oh, hello, Carrie. So thank you.
If you want to film, stand here. If you don't.
Hello. I'm speaking for Sandwich Salutes the 40s, which is fun, safe, informative, and very educational. The reenactors are exacting their depiction and are keen to educate. They really know their stuff and could be seen turning what might be a routine Key Stage 1 and 3 subject taught in schools into something real. The challenges of our parents, grandparents, and further back become touchable, and we still salute all those who gave their lives. Though few know now who remain with us, and those who survived but are no longer with us. A balance to the more sombre Remembrance Day that honours those who didn't come home. Sandwich Salutes the 40s brought about 5,000 visitors to town in 2023. This is based on a rough count during the event. St Peter's counts more accurately. This 5,000 seems realistic, as St Peter's counted 3,000 leaving the quayside and coming into town. Dover District Council stated that we could estimate a £45,000 boost to the economy based on St Peter's numbers. And that's a £75,000 based on the 5,000 estimate. You might remember that all the pubs and cafes and restaurants were absolutely packed last year. This all goes towards helping to keep our town vibrant, attractive to food, drink and retail businesses, something we all then go on to benefit from. And next year is the 80th anniversary of VE Day, and we hope to be the best place for that event. Our thanks for the support from Sandwich Town Council and the Tollbridge Fund, plus our sponsors and volunteers and all the visitors but to go to make this event so brilliant. And please come this year too.
Thank you very much for that. That's excellent. Our first one there. The next one is Robert Tapsfield, and this is the PCC of St Clement's organ that was recently refurbished. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Mayor. I'm the assistant organist at St Clement's Church, and as our regular congregation will tell you, the organ's just had a complete refurbishment and dry cleaning, more or less. In fact, I think the organ's probably cleaner than my front room now. This involved a highly specialised team of 6 people, with various skills, and it's taken, I think, a couple of months, all told, and it's now singing away, hopefully, for the next 25 years. Part of the penalty of living so near to the sea is that what had to be cleaned was a lot of salt deposit inside the metal pipes. That took a long time. There's 1,430 pipes or something like it in that instrument, ranging from 16 feet long to a few millimetres. That's up in dog range somewhere. As you can imagine, involving 6 highly skilled people is not cheap. And we're very grateful to the Toll Bridge Fund for providing the part of the funds for this. It's good for the next 27 years, which is what it's done so far, I think. And it's certainly pleased our choir. We have a substantial choir of 20 that's sung, I think, 5 times now at Westminster Abbey, Canterbury, Winchester, I think, yes, Chichester, and we're due to sing at St George's Chapel in Windsor very shortly. So we look forward to singing the forthcoming gala recital, which is the sort of official opening, will take place on May the 11th. And that's Ian Tracy, who's the organist of the Anglican Cathedral in Liverpool. He's been here a couple of times before, I know him very well. He's an excellent player, and he can play me off the bench and into the next county. So I look forward to hearing that, getting a few lessons from him. Once again, thank you very much for the support from the Toll Bridge and various other local charities. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Robert, and he's very modest. He's probably one of the best organists I've ever heard, probably the best in at least the UK, if not the world. So, and of course, having the new rector in the house tonight, I wouldn't get away with unless I said, if you would like to hear the lovely new organ every Sunday, if you'd like to come along to St Clement's Church, you'd be most welcome. So we've got a lovely new organ and we've got a lovely new rector as well. So please come along if you feel so pleased to do so. Our next guest is just as lovely. We've got Mrs. Carol George, who will be giving us an update on Sandwich in Blue. Thank you, Carol.
I'll try without it. If you can't hear, shout. So, good evening, Mr. Mayor, councillors, officers from the various ACC and DDC, and residents of Sandwich. I feel extremely fortunate to be asked on behalf of Sandwich in Blue to contribute here this evening to the Annual Town Council meeting, as it gives me a platform to promote the work that we do in and around the town. Since its conception, our aims have always been to support local businesses by increasing visitor numbers, enhance the charm and beauty of the historic buildings in our medieval town, and to evoke civic pride and well-being. In January last year, we were debating if and how we could ensure that Sandwich in Blue continued. No real committee, people had moved, and extremely tight funding opportunities. While the latter always remains an ongoing battle, the real energy for our projects has come from our wonderful volunteers, support from Sandwich Town Council and the Tollbridge Fund, and the interest and opportunities that were forthcoming from offices at Dover District Council. A new committee was established and the number of volunteers have grown a little. There's always room for more. Inspired by such teamwork, we were able to take on a new lease of life and forge ahead with a programme for 2023. So I'd like to add my thanks to all those who have been involved in helping to ensure Sandwich continued to bloom. In 2003, we managed to maintain the floral offerings that I think you've all become familiar with. The outstanding displays that are on the quay, hanging baskets around the forecourt, the old post office displays, the train station, and many more. But in addition to this, we created the small garden around the bus shelter, celebrated the King's coronation with streamers and a small flower bed that surrounded the beacon, adding hanging baskets and even more spring bulbs to St Mary's Church grounds, along with adding more spring bulbs to the white gates as you enter the town. We managed to ensure the circular bench from the Guildhall forecourt was saved and moved to St Peter's Church Gardens. Now well established, it looks perfect in new home. Thanks to the funding from Dover District Council, we were also able to replace the broken apple crates behind the Guildhall and on the quay. And last Christmas, we contributed to the lights in Sandwich by placing and lighting 12 Christmas trees in St Peter's Gardens and donated Christmas tree vouchers to 12 users of the pantry to help bring a little extra cheer to them and their families at Christmas time. Some special and fun moments come to mind. Work on a hot day digging actually into concrete to create the bus shelter garden. A brave adventure by one of our volunteers to climb up a ladder to reach the top of the beacon in order to hang the streamers and flags. So glad that the health and safety officer wasn't around at that time. A really pretty purple flower bed, raw purple, was added to the base of the beacon, and the enthusiasm in ensuring the old bicycle was suitably decked for the coronation. A collaborative conversation with those in the medieval boat centre and the connection of 4 kinking hoses, not kinky, ensured our ability to keep the bus shelter garden watered. Thanks to the forecourt contractors and Simon from Archers Low, we managed to lift and dispose of all the old apple crates on the quay, and with a great team effort we were able to plant EDC's replacement containers. Thanks to David Silk, back-breaking exercise planting over 1,000 bulbs at St Mary's Church grounds, the spring spectacle has been outstanding, and we're also grateful to the Guildhall caretakers who ensured that last year the automatic system did its job and remained connected throughout the exceptionally hot September and October. And of course I must highlight the commitment of the volunteers that worked tirelessly throughout late spring and summer months, ensuring that everything is kept watered and in pristine condition. We would not be able to achieve any of this without the expert advice, help and commitment to Sandwich in Bloom and to this town that is made by Sarah Doyle and what she calls her mad team at Archers Low. They are incredible, and let's not forget that delivering baby Florence several weeks early, along with keeping Archers Low Nursery going, was an enormous juggling act. However, with the help of her team, she managed this along with strolling and planting many spring bulbs on the quay while out with the pram and walking the dog. So, a great woman to multitask. And what of the year ahead? Well, this will depend, as ever, on finance, along with consideration that we must give to maintenance issues and ongoing commitments. Having hand-delivered 30 letters to companies on the industrial estate, we received a cheque from Minters of £250 and a donation of £1,000 from Royal St George's. Also a gift of £50 from Aussie's, the fish and chip shop. So we would like to publicly thank all of them for their generosity, along with the Tollbridge Fund. Several exciting ideas have been suggested for 2024. A planter for the pavement outside Sandwich Infant School has been agreed. This will achieve two aims: one, to stop rogue and dangerous parking on the paved area, and two, as an interaction with children as they plant and tend their own container. Two beds at the train station need to be overhauled, and we have had some suggestion from one of our councillors for some funding for that. We're aware that the riverside planters are not very water efficient, and repair and replacement might happen too. This being an Olympic year, we are considering an interactive floral tribute in recognition of this. And following our conversation with Father Sebastian, I'm hopeful that in collaboration with St Clement's, we might see in 2005 the little gardens of Sandwich re-emerge. One of our aims has always been to encourage local residents and businesses to display their own floral offering, and this year, by way of acknowledging their contribution to blooming Sandwich, we will be launching the Little Card Scheme, which is aimed at thanking those contributors with a personal letter and a small card that can be placed in their windows. So as you can tell, our wonderful volunteer team will be busy. Sandwich and Bloom is of course not alone in supporting Sandwich. You will be aware that we are just one of the volunteer organisations, as mentioned by the Mayor, that are passionate about our town by promoting festivals and activities that our community can enjoy and that backs our local businesses by encouraging visitors and tourism. I believe that all of our ambitions for the town totally correspond. So given this platform, I trust you won't mind if I mention some of the other wonderful volunteer groups that ensure Sandwich thrives as well as blooms. The History Society and the Tour Guides, Gaze and Salts, Festival and Lights Group, the Curfew Bell Ringers, Compass Group, Speedwatch, the Museum, St Peter's, White Mill, St Peter's and St Clement's Church Grounds, the Environmental and Conservation Group, Christina Glynn, who's already been mentioned, and there are many, many more that keep the town going. So we all do our bit, I think, and because we care about Sandwich, we do it well. And we want to ensure that that Sandwich continues to blossom. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Carol. The next one I've got is Ian Ball from the Sandwich Folk and Ale Festival can't be here, so he's given me a very short passage to read out. The Sandwich Folk and Ale Festival has been a grateful recipient of grants from the Tollbridge Fund for many years now. This grant helps to pay for many crucial services which assist in ensuring our event is not only a safe, clean and secure environment, but also enables our festival to continue to provide key support to a huge variety of local businesses in the town. These services include a provision of bins to ensure our town is kept clean, toilets, tables and chairs for the convenience of the attendees, and overnight security staff which provide important peace of mind. And that's a short message from Ian Ball, who's chairman of Sandwich Folk and Ale Festival. The next one I'd like to ask is Ben Garrett on behalf of the Age Concern. Would you mind coming forward, Ben? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everyone. The Sunflower Centre and Age Concern Sandwich were fortunate to have been granted from the Tollbridge Fund some funding to go towards our Dementia Awareness Roadshow. The Roadshow is a marketplace event with over 20 organisations attending to showcase the services and support available to those living with dementia and their families. The Roadshow has been part of Age Concern Sandwich's calendar since 2016, except COVID years, either at the Sandwich Guildhall or the local villages. The impact that these roadshows have on people living with dementia and their families is vast. They can meet support services in their own community rather than rely on telephone calls to unknown people. We know that some older people are not able to access the internet to readily find out and support available to them. Linked in with services can also enable people to find social activities, thus reducing social isolation. The organisations which we invite to look forward to coming along to Sandwich for the warm welcome and the opportunity to meet new families and network with other organisations. They are also able to see some of the difficulties faced by people living in rural communities. At the Roadshow in 2023, we also had the virtual dementia tour, which is scientifically proven to be the closest experience of what living with dementia is like. We were able to offer 36 spaces to organisations and individuals to enable them to be better able to support people living with dementia, with the aim to develop dementia-friendly communities, which was more inclusive and accessible to those living with dementia. The roadshows are established parts of our calendar, and we look forward to being back at the Guildhall on Thursday, May the 16th, 2024, during Dementia Week. Thank you very much.
And once again, I've got a very short message from Dick Nuttall, who's trustee of the White Mill, and they were a recipient of a grant from the Tollbridge Fund. He says, the White Mill repair and restoration continues apace and will advance to the whole museum site. We are on course to remount the restored sweeps, or sails as you may know them, later this summer. The cap and the main mechanisms for turning to wind have been painstakingly restored over the past few years and have been up and working since last September. We very much hope that in the course of a very few years, the restoration of the White Mill will include the capacity to grind corn again, at least for demonstrations, after more than 100 years. It is, in any case, a valuable historic landmark of which the Council can be truly proud. We have our annual public open weekend and fair on the 11th and 12th of May, to include many craft stalls and activities when the whole site will be on display and to which you and the members of the council are cordially invited. Of course, you're welcome to come at other times, although currently only Tuesdays and Fridays. And that's from Dick Nuttall, who's a trustee of the White Mill. And next I'd like to call John Summers of the Gaze and Swords. Thank you, John.
Hi, thank you. I'm currently acting chair of Gaze and Salts, and we look towards our AGM. Hopefully you all know Gaze and Salts. It was actually artificially made in 1972. It was planted from scratch. And Mike Briggs, who's our acting warden, he actually helped lay down the trees originally. I'm part of the volunteer team, and every Wednesday there's between 15 and 25 of us working away for 3 hours. We then suffer the rest of the week aching and pains. I've got my work clothes on now. Going forward, Gaze and Salts almost shut in 2014 following the floods. It didn't reopen for a couple of years, and it's only down to the work of councillors and volunteers it's come back to life. We had a Tollbridge Fund grant. We had a Tollbridge Fund grant that's actually helped us restore it to working very well. I mean, it's a bone-thin organisation, nobody's paid. Our running costs are about £6,000 a year, and EDC kindly give us £4,500 a year, and we raise the rest through fundraising. But without the, it's been a long time since I've done this. I used to do this every day in school, and now I find it quite disconcerting. The Tollbridge Fund money was essentially getting the whole site up and running, so we've been very thankful for that. We appreciate anybody coming along and volunteering, and hopefully you have a chance to enjoy it. We occasionally find people looking very sad down there when we're volunteering. It's a place of quietness that people can go, and certainly during the pandemic I know a lot of people appreciated it. So hopefully, thanks for your support and ongoing support. And thank you.
And then last but not least, we have David Anderson and Chris Rourke from Sir Roger Manwood School. Oh, well, one of them.
I won't take my phone. Paris has been very shy, so it's just me this evening. I'm Dave Anderson. I'm a teacher at Sir Roger Manwood School. I also run the school's Eco Society. It's a small group of students and staff who try to make the school more sustainable. There's not a lot of money in terms of government support for that kind of activity, so we've taken it on ourselves to try and make the school, try and reduce our carbon footprint and increase the biodiversity of the school site. So we started in 2019, and we've really had two focuses since that time. The first was on LED lights, changing the light bulbs across the schools, about 1,000 light bulbs across the school, changing them to LEDs, which use about a third of the electricity. The second of those was solar panels, 350 solar panels that we've managed to install on the sports hall roof. And those have had a significant impact on the school's carbon emissions in particular. I'll come on to that in just a moment. That's all been made possible through fundraising. So that fundraising has really been driven by the small group of students and staff who've been involved in that Eco Society. You may have seen some of the students out during the Sandwich Boat and Ale Festival. They were doing litter picks during the course of that. It was fascinating to see them going up and down the station, going up and down Manwood Road, coming into the centre of town safely, getting the bottles and crisp packets out of the Delf stream as well. An interesting kind of historical perspective to remind them of people being put in stocks for litter in the Delf stream in the past, which of course they didn't know about necessarily. But we've also fundraised through Old Boys and Old Girls, local organisations, the Rotary Club, and also through the Tollbridge Fund as well. And that made a significant difference. So that grant from the Tollbridge Fund allowed us to complete the project. It's been a project that's taken about 3 or 4 years to complete, because it has to be done when the students aren't in school, because caretakers have to get up to the roof spaces, get into classrooms, so it has to be done in holidays, so it's very, very piecemeal. We've been slowly picking away at all of those different light bulbs across the school, as I said, around 1,000 of them. And 2 rooms in particular that has a community element to it, so the school hall, which is used by the Manwood Singers, and the school gym, which is used by various organisations that rent it out for their activities. Those 2 things have been enabled by the grant that we received from the Tollbridge Fund. And I thought I'd just show you one thing, and apologies for anybody standing in the back. Don't worry too much about the details, it's really the shape of this. This is the school's carbon emissions. And what this is something pulled together by some students. We ran a competition back in October. And the competition was entered by about 20 or 30 students, not necessarily with any great spreadsheet skills, but we threw 34,000 different pieces of information at them. So a spreadsheet which took 12 hours of the day, which is the axis going on here, and then the carbon emissions going on here. This is the school's total electricity usage turned into its carbon emissions. And the blue line is 2019-2020, before the pandemic. And then the orange line is the amount of electricity that we've used since we've installed all the LEDs and the solar panels. And the students had to produce the graphs, but also turn that into some numbers. And these were the numbers that they produced at the end of it. So all of the projects, including the funding that we received from the Tollbridge Fund, led to a 42% reduction in the electricity the school uses from the national grid, 34 tonnes of carbon dioxide emissions that have been avoided, and given the tripling of electricity bills that happened a couple of years ago, £57,000 worth of electricity bill savings during the course of the last 12 months. So I want to say a huge thank you to the Tollbridge Fund, not just from me, but really from the students at the school, because they've really been the driving force. It's the school holidays, that's why they're not here now. Otherwise I would force them to come in and do this instead of me. This is far more interesting hearing them from them than it is hearing from me. But they are incredibly thankful for your support in supporting their environmental campaigns. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson, for that. Item number 7 is updates from guest speakers and councillors, and this is to receive any updates from invited representatives, guests and councillors. And Clark, do we have any?
I don't think there's anybody that has any particular
Sandwich Town councillors, any updates there? That's good, oh, that's handy. So that's item number 7 was quite an easy and quick one there.
Sorry,
And
Mr. Mayor, I could give an update on the Jubilee Centre.
oh, indeed. I think that'd be most. Would you like to come forward? Thank you. This is David Wood, who is the chair.
No, I'm not in fact chair.
But one of the trustees of the Jubilee Centre.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I was invited. I wasn't expecting to speak, but since I think it might make some sense for you to update you on the work of the Jubilee Centre. The Jubilee Centre is run by a charity that was constituted probably about 2 years ago now, and the charity became responsible for the centre itself this time last year. We've had the lease for a year. About 6 months prior to that, with an interim agreement with DDC, Sandwich Boxing Club were given access to the building. When we took over the building, it having laid dormant for a few years, it really wasn't fit for purpose. We've had to do an awful lot of work getting it ready for community use, and that was work that we hadn't really anticipated. As of today, the Boxing Club use the centre on Mondays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, and they're delighted with the facility. And they've got a ring in the GB Centre, and that's doing some very good work for young people who are obviously engaged and interested in boxing. One of the best things about being involved with the whole thing was being able to relocate Sandwich Pantry from St Peter's Church. We're very grateful to them for having us when Sandwich Pantry started 3 years ago, and then exactly a year ago the Sandwich Pantry moved into the Jubilee Centre, and with its kitchen and storage space and space for the fridge and space for people to sit down and have tea and coffee, it's a far better site for those that use Sandwich Pantry. So Sandwich Pantry are in there on Mondays as well. On Tuesdays, the CAB are also in there on Mondays too. On Tuesdays, Sandwich Concert Band use the Jubilee Centre. I've just come from there this evening and going back there after this meeting because we've got a swing band that started this evening. On Thursdays, Boxing Club are back in. On Fridays, we've got tap dancing. We also have yoga alternate Wednesdays and Saturdays. And tomorrow, we're delighted to host a KCC Children's Service session, which is the first time, it used to be called Shore Starts, the first time they've been in the GB Centre or the Phoenix Centre for some time. So the centre is being put to use, it is being used. We're not where we want to be yet. We've got some projects underway with respect to education, planning, particularly with respect to social mobility, and we want to put the gardens to use as well. We're working very, very hard. None of us have run a community centre before. We've had a few false starts with things like the website, but over the next couple of weeks, I think you'll see that we've made a lot of progress, and so just watch this space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David, for giving us that update on the Jubilee Centre. The next item is item number 8. There's a question and answer session. Priority will be given to those questions notified in advance of the meeting to the town clerk, which allows for a comprehensive response to be given at the meeting where necessary. Electors are also invited to direct questions to particular councillors and representative guests on the night. Could I just give a caveat? We don't wish to have any personal information or political information in any of the questions, please. Thank you very much. The pre-posed questions that are coming beforehand, please could the following question be raised at the annual town meeting? If so, this is a question for Kevin Mills, should he be in attendance. Shortly after the elections in May last year, I read a strategy document that outlined a set of proposals to improve the quay in Sandwich. I remember thinking at the time how much potential there was in terms of the outline proposals as they were described. and the positive impacts that this would have on tourism offer for this part of Kent. I would like to know what has happened to this strategy document since it was first published by DDC, and what steps can be taken by whom to get the traction needed to make progress in developing the quay and then enabling this part of Sandwich to reach its full potential. Would you like to answer that one, Kevin?
Yeah, no problem trying to answer it. I'll be perfectly honest. I wasn't given any notice of any of the questions. I do know Roger had some notice, but we haven't actually spoken today. I'm entirely elsewhere. That said, my understanding, I stand to be corrected, and Roger will hit me if I'm wrong, is that obviously this document came forward prior to the elections last year. I haven't read it, I'm going to be perfectly honest with it, because it's vanished off the face of the earth on the political agenda as such. So, but what I will do is I'll ask to have a look at it and see what the situation is. My understanding was there was never any money put in the budgets going forward for it. I'm not saying we will put any money in the budgets, because I obviously want to look at it, see whether the demand and the need is still there. I'll give you my assurance, I'll look at it. I don't know who's asked the question and who wants the answer, but it's probably easier for me to liaise with the clerk, to be perfectly honest, on that and go forward. I believe the initial project, and say Roger, who was obviously overseeing it under the previous administration, correct me if I'm wrong, was several £100,000. I think 300, 400, I don't know. I mean, the sad reality is whenever a local authority tries to do anything, someone chucks a door to the end of it, somewhere along the lines. But what I will do is I'll give you an assurance, I'll have a look at it, I will liaise with the clerk, who can obviously disseminate the information out to yourselves, on where we were with it, where the previous administration was with it, where we are with it, and I'm going to have to be honest, I don't recall it ever coming across my desk since May the 4th last year, and what the chances of doing anything in collaboration going forward. I think the view may have been that there may be needed some outside grant funding, but if there is that possibility, then we may need to be able to, I'll look at explore some of that. And then likewise, to see whether actually what was suggested then actually necessarily fits the need of a town now, because things do change, I accept that. I'm no expert when it comes to keys, boats, anything like that. But I will give you an assurance, I will liaise with the clerk and our officers to find out exactly where the document is, what the situation is, what decisions were or weren't made up to the time. I have to say it seems to have been put to bed. So I'm more than happy to deal with that. And I'm not going to shoot off afterwards anyway. Hang around, please feel free, whoever asks the question to come and see me.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
And then the second question from the same person. Please could the arrangements be clarified for keeping Sandwich Bypass free of litter? How often are these areas assessed? By which authority are they assessed? And what is the programme for collecting the build-up of litter in these areas during 2024? I'm not sure who would be able to answer that one. Is that a DDC or a KCC one? DDC. Oh.
Yeah. Again, I didn't know about the question, but that's not the point. I'll look into and get the answers on the cleaning issues, the timescale, and not making things political. The budget was reduced a year ago, actually, in street cleansing by £300,000, which we're trying to claw back some of it. It's a problem that I know is acute in Sandwich. It's a major problem when you get to other areas of the districts as well. I mean, we've written to the Minister responsible regarding, I'm going to be fairly broken, Dover and the problems we have with traffic, because, I'm not saying that yours is the main problem. If you've got a problem, it's 10 times worse there, and we have bottles full of stuff that should not be dumped. We wrote to the Minister how many weeks ago? 8 weeks ago. Have we had an answer? No. So, there was an issue there, because I don't see why, when you're a major thoroughfare, we should, as council taxpayers, and I'm one as well, have to pick up those bills. Because the sad reality is, if everyone put their litter in their car and took it with them, that would probably save district councils millions. Well, it would save district councils millions. That said, again, I'll look at the schedule. I would imagine the schedule is fairly limited. in the Sandwich area. I know it's limited on some of the major thoroughfares to the Port of Dover. One of the issues is a high-speed road. That brings with it particular dangers, so we are trying to link in when it comes to cleaning, when those roads are closed for some works or not, which makes it a lot safer and a lot easier to deal with. But so again, I'll get the schedule, but I will put the schedule is very, yeah, maximum. So about two times a year, I thought, which is no different to Dover and the other areas. And it's a shame, but I would have thought, you know, to increase it much more than that at this stage, it's about decisions, will be, you know, an awful lot of money. It's not cheap. And it's not cheap on the taxpayer having to clear up because some person can't be bothered to take their wrappings of rubbish with them. But, so I'll get the figures later.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Mills. The next question is, what progress is there for the fenced-off area on the corner of Whitefriars Meadow and Fellowship Walk, and why is it not open to the public? I don't know if DDC could possibly pick this one up again, sorry.
It was just words on an answer.
I believe there was meant to be a section 205 issue, but...
Yeah, my understanding is that this is a long-standing planning issue. It's private land, it's been reviewed and is being monitored reasonably regularly by the planning enforcement team to see whether they are able to take action. At the moment, and I know this has been looked at in the last 2 or 3 weeks, the site itself, for us to issue a notice of enforcement to clear the land, creates challenges in itself because of the environmental interests that have developed on the site by it being allowed to become overgrown. So that creates some challenges for us in requiring an enforcement notice to clear land which actually has some ecology on it, which if the person were to try and clear it, they would be breaching other legislation in order to clear it. So that's one of the obstacles to it. Secondly, the fencing that's been erected, which clearly is very unsightly, the Harris fencing around the site, actually has permitted development rights and is not something we can enforce on. As I say, we continue to monitor the site and understand the concerns and are engaging on an ongoing basis with the landowner. That's really all I can say.
Thank you very much, Roger. We have some questions for the Police and Crime Commissioner, so the Town Clerk will pass those on to him there. They're about policing. We had... Thank you very much on that. We had a couple of other questions. One question our police officer may be able to assist with was to do with the, we had a rough sleeper in the town, and apparently a multi-agency task force went along to try and address the issue of the rough sleeper, and when they got there, unfortunately he had popped off somewhere and he wasn't available. So the person in question has been asking what will take place when this task force comes back to move the rough sleeper on. Is there a process to get the rough sleeper addressed? Thank you.
Yeah, the gentleman in question is a rough sleeper. He isn't homeless. He chooses to sleep rough and has done so for the last 25 or so years. I've worked with the gentleman on a one-to-one basis for the last 4 years, and he visits Sandwich quite regularly, sometimes once or twice a year, also choosing to live in Dover, Ramsgate and London. As you can imagine, there's all sorts of issues with this gentleman, particularly with his mental health, and there has been a multi-agency approach over those years, but certainly more recently with regard to his sleeping habits and what have you around the town. We did try a multi-agency approach with the police, KCC, NHS, mental health, doctors and what have you. But at that particular time, he moved on, and he's currently not in any of the areas that we would expect to see him. So on his return to the Dover area, or indeed Sandwich, we've got resources in place to try and support him. I can't go into details what they are, but nevertheless, you know, we have identified this gentleman over quite some years. We have tried to put in place quite a lot of support, and we also realise the implications on local residents and traders in the area.
Thank you very much on that one, Peter. Also, I've got another one. This may be for KCC. Recently in the news, 6 sites in the southeast have been earmarked for immigrants to be located in certain areas. And the person that's posed this question said, could they just have a guarantee that the Wayfarers Centre that is in St Bart's Road is not going to be earmarked for the use of immigrants at all? So thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So I'm not quite sure whether the questioner is referring to immigration centres for adults or immigration centre or reception centres for children. So both have been in the news recently, and Kent County Council obviously but Kent County Council have very specific responsibilities around reception care for unaccompanied asylum-seeking children. And we have made public the fact that since the court decision last July, we are having to increase that reception care with funding from the Home Office to do so. However, what I can reassure is that Wayfarers is not going to be used for that purpose. Wayfarers is intended for use, and I believe that has, if not begun, it will begin shortly. It's intended for use for accommodation for adults with specific learning difficulties and other difficulties. So it's a small number, but that's the intended use for Wayfarers as we go forward. So at the time, the town and the residents were very clear that they wanted it used for social care of some kind, and the staff at KCC have worked incredibly hard to ensure that that is in fact what's happening.
Thank you very much, Councillor Chandler. And then the last 2 precept questions are, what is the progress on improving disabled and pedestrian access and safety around the town centre of Sandwich? Unfortunately, Councillor Anderson isn't here this evening to answer that question. I don't know if we have anybody else to answer that question. Working in progress. What we'll do is we'll pose this question to Councillor Anderson, who heads up the Disability Working Group, and we'll get an answer back for the question.
Sorry, I'm not sure it was purely for Councillor Anderson, but also for KCC, because the access routes around the town are awful. They're almost non-existent, and I did sit on that committee prior to it becoming a council matter, as it were. And one of the problems is that you can't drop a curb, you can't get from one side of the road to the other. There is no simple way to cross the road without drop curbs for wheelchairs or even for buggies. And the issue there is that we have to pay £2,500 per drop curb to get something done, when actually there is a statutory requirement to ensure that disabled people are not penalised because they are disabled. And I think that is the big problem. I think the group is trying to deal with that, but it's a huge cost that Sandwich Town Council can't pick up, and it's back to Kent County Council. So that I know about that a little bit. If it's any help.
Thank you for that. Was there anybody that was able to pick that up at all? Perhaps?
Yeah. No, I'm so happy to take that away. I do appreciate that drop curve, the pedestrian drop curves are absolutely crucial, something I'm keen on. I'll go away and see if there are any funding pots that could be looked at. I mean, thinking that in the wider issue of pedestrians in general to help many groups, theoretically could allow travel funding to make walking, wheeling, cycling more attractive. So there are pots out there. Let me take a look at that and get back to the part.
Thank you very much, Councillor Baker. And then the last question, preset question, is from Margaret Thomas, and she would like the latest update on the Georgina Maddox legacy discussed.
I mean, we covered that in the slide here earlier. I don't know if Margaret's here herself has anything.
Yes, what I wanted to say or to ask is, I know I don't want that. No, I'm fine.
You sure?
Yeah. The decisions were made. I mean, there's been a lot of unhappiness, shall we say, on Facebook with the decision made by the council last week. I was actually at the meeting, and I was also on the committee or on the working group. And I do feel that Georgina's wishes haven't been addressed properly. I understand the way that we worked. I feel that we didn't explore all the opportunities to use the house. Nothing was put on Facebook to our small groups. Nothing was put on council notice board. All we did was we wrote to community groups. I knew Georgina for over 30 years. I know that her wishes were that the house would remain, if at all in any way possible. I don't feel that that was completely run with. I know that Councillor Franklin wanted the opportunity to try it out. Georgina left a considerable sum of money that will help to run it. It could be run by volunteers, myself included, and I just think it's incredibly sad. There were concerns about parking and traffic, but if they're going to sell it and 3 houses being built there, there's going to be at least 6 cars coming out of that narrow entrance every day. And I just think it's the wrong decision, and I'm really, really very unhappy and very upset. I'm very upset for Georgina because I discussed her situation with her many times, and she didn't only help the main groups, you know, the committees and so on. She helped small groups, she helped individual people. That could be used for children's birthday parties, small groups, small after school groups, people who need someone to talk to counselling. There's enormous potential, and it could be done on a very much cheaper basis than so many of these large places charge. I mean, it wouldn't need to cost a lot of money, and I'm desperately, desperately sad about the whole situation, and I want to really
Thank you very much, Margaret. And I can just say, so that everybody's aware here tonight, that obviously a working group was set up to look at the issues and the opportunities with the Georgina Maddox legacy, including Bay Hall. The working group sent out, as was seen in the slides earlier tonight, sent out questionnaires. Very few questionnaires came back, very few, and of the few that came back, only half, I believe it was 7, actually said that they would make any use of the hall, Bay Hall. And of those 7, when we discussed it in a meeting last week, we discovered that some of them were seasonal, so it's very difficult to establish how much use there would have been, unfortunately, for Bay Hall. If there wasn't much use for it, then the actual legacy of money that was left by Georgina Maddox would have had to have paid for the upkeep and maintenance. So that is the situation we were in. A vote was undertaken at the meeting last week, and the majority of councillors voted to sell the property, and that decision was made. I don't know if is there anybody from the working group that had any further updates at all? I don't know.
I was a member, as was Margaret. The approach, as was Jeff, Andy, and a couple of others who aren't here. I did vote with the majority to sell the property, but where I started as a councillor on this particular project was with a blank page. I did not have a prior decision about it. What I wanted to see is that we approached it in a very methodical way, evidence-based way. 7 months the working group ran. The demand was very low. The likely costs for conversion were probably quite high. The property itself is a house, a bungalow. It isn't fit as a community centre. It would have needed quite a bit of conversion. So those are the factors, for me, looking at it very practically, forced me to take my decision. The other thing is, wrapped around that, is there are a number of community centres in Sandwich already that are underutilised. We heard from David that they're working at growing the demand, but they're not there yet. There are other centres, including this building, which is available. So it would have had to compete against other facilities that are available in the town, and by doing that, it almost certainly would have sucked some of that usage from other places. It wasn't the right solution for me. In terms of Facebook, there was a significant amount of conversation, but not all of it was against it. It probably on balance was against it, but there was quite a lot of people who were for it being sold. So from my perspective, I'll defend my decision. Others will have the opposite view. More than happy to have a conversation, but I arrived at the place I arrived at based on the evidence I saw over that 7 months.
Yes, thank you. And Councillor Franklin, and then Councillor.
I've known Georgina Maddox for many, many years. She supported about 21 organisations, which was secretary of. She did all the paperwork herself. She had a marvellous photocopying machine there. Did all the She took all the civic events. She took, I don't know how to put a photographs. I think all the cameras were auctioned off. It is such a shame. I think the time we completed out the will was called it she put in that will a community hub. I didn't want it as a community. We used community hub because what she put in the will. I was a governor at the infant school for quite a few years, and because we've got Gays and Salts, which is just across the road from the infant school, and Bay Hall is right next to that. And one of the problems with schools visiting the nature reserve is little children, small bladders, they need toilets, they need hand washing facilities. So I thought Bay Hall next to it is ideal. It would make a lovely environmental studies group. We have other nature reserves. We've got the Monk's Wall, and we've also got Sandwich Bay Bird Observatory. I wanted it used for educational purposes. It wouldn't have competed with this at all. This is a big building. The other building, Jubilees, are big. This would be in a small building for classroom-sized people to come. It would have been a crappy old day. There was room for 2 minibuses, so if they couldn't have gone to the reserve, they could have had a PowerPoint presentation about the reserve and then come back on another day. And that's what I wanted. I wanted it for the children and the future of Sandwich. There was so much money involved, it wouldn't have cost that much money. They wouldn't even allow me to put a planning application in, or even to try and get my residential to a community building. So they said, no, sell it. And I'm really upset over that because I know Georgina, and that's not what she wanted. She would have liked to have been tried as a community building for the environment. But fortunately, they said no, and I've done what I could. So we could call. But then again, it's a democracy, so the majority votes count. So unfortunately, at the moment, it's up for sale. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Franklin. I believe Councillor Wiles, did you want to address it?
Yeah, I just wanted to say
Georgina's will was dated 2010. And what it says in the will, just to give the facts of the situation, it says, I give to Sandwich Town Council my freehold property known as Bay Hall, and I express the wish, but without imposing any binding obligation, that insofar as reasonably practicable, it be utilised as a meeting place for local community organisations and groups, but failing that, for the proceeds of sale to be used for the benefit of the said local community groups and organisations, as the Sandwich Town Council shall in their absolute discretion think fit. So we looked at all the objective evidence. There wasn't a demand for it. There were likely to be issues with highways and planning. The cost of converting it would have been huge. There was no information about how much it would cost to run this community centre, plus it would be competing with other centres in the town. It was a romantic idea, but it was not practicable in accordance with her will, and that's why a majority of councillors voted to sell the property.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Wiles. I think that's the end of the preset questions, so I'm now prepared to open up for questioning from the floor. So do we have anybody? When you propose your question, could you stand up and say who you are or what you're relative to? So if I have any questions from the floor, Margaret Thomas, would you like to?
Yes, I'm Margaret Thomas. There was a second question on my questions, and that was about the fencing around Fellowship Walk. And my question wasn't about the fencing round, which is absolutely horrendous, yes, and the place looks dreadful. It was about the corner of Whitefriars Meadow, where that bit doesn't belong to the builder. Why hasn't that bit part of the fencing been taken down? That was my question for... Yeah? Do you understand?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But the corner of Whitefriars was always a green grass bank. It was known by the local council. It wasn't part of the builder's land. And I just think that bit of fencing should be taken down.
I see.
We'll take that away and look at it.
Yeah, Dover District Council said that they will review that situation. It is quite a small area, and obviously the fencing quite possibly could be taken down in that area, but the rest of the unsightly fencing, unfortunately, would still be there. But we will ask Dover District Council to look into that and get back to us with a question, and then we can come and reply to you, if that's okay, Margaret. Thank you very much. Yeah, I was just being told by one of my councillors that Sandwich Town Council has voted to write to Dover District Council Planning, and this is with regards to that site and to an objection, to appeal against the objection that the site cannot be improved in some way or other, despite the environmental or ecological processes. We do really need to do something with that site, and it is so unsightly at the moment. And we're building a tourism forum. We're trying to improve all the areas in Sandwich, and that site, unfortunately, is really holding us back. So a letter will be going to Dover District Council asking what can be done about that site in the future. Thank you, Councillor Marie. Okay, do we have any other questions? I think, the gentleman at the back first of all.
Hodges, 20 St Peter Street. I don't think that's very good, actually. The first point is with regard to Georgina Mannix ongoing. I've been in Sandwich for 25 years, for 26 now, and I've known Georgina for many years, as almost every other person in Sandwich did. She needs to be remembered not by a sale and putting cash into a pot somewhere, which is going to be used by, as we do the Sandwich Town, the Tollbridge Fund. It's not sufficient. There needs to be something that we can remember Georgina by. That's my first comment. And I'd like to get the Town Council to reassess their situation and put the requirement out to the whole of Sandwich by Facebook. Because on Facebook today, every account has been against the idea of selling a plot. The second question is that we've been, 2 weeks we've had the King Street closed, and we should really take the opportunity of surveying the situation in King Street particularly, but perhaps later the whole of the town centre, to make this into a pedestrian thoroughfare. And we should go to a survey and ask the people of Sandwich whether they would like to do that or not. Because the feedback I've been getting around the town is that it's a great idea. We're fed up with cars racing from Woodnesborough to Deal along King Street. And there really isn't enough space on that street for people to walk and cars to race. Thank you.
Yeah, I think to answer those two questions, first of all, the Town Council would be looking to put some sort of memorial up for Georgina Maddox. We wouldn't go without some sort of recognition towards her. And what we'd be doing is via the new website and the Town Council Facebook site, we would be approaching the public as to what would be the best option for remembering Georgina Maddox. For many of us, as you said, there's a lot of us here that know her. She was secretary for me for the Christmas lights for 12 years, and my wife and I knew her when she was ill towards the end of her life as well. My wife actually helped care for her. So she's very dear in our hearts. And something will go out to look at some form of memorial. But anybody that knew Georgina Maddox will know that she wasn't your traditional conventional lady, and so quite possibly it'd be better to get some ideas. If we put a boring statue in the middle of the Guildhall, I don't think that's exactly what she would like. So later in this year we will be looking for some ideas for that. So that's possibly an answer to your first question. The second question is a little bit more difficult because I've been a councillor for 17 years, and probably every other year the question has cropped up of pedestrianising King Street, and unfortunately this cropped up again last year, and some of the shop owners and the traders in King Street wanted to raise a questionnaire as to pedestrianising King Street, and we had a split right down the middle. So we had 50% of the traders did want it pedestrianised, and 50% of the traders didn't want King Street pedestrianised. And to tell you the truth, quite a lot of the very long-term established businesses that have been there for a long time are the ones that do not want it pedestrianised. So I don't know if we've got anybody else on this matter that could raise this. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, just to add to that regarding King Street, I am running a project scope regarding parking and speeding around the town as part of the Town's Going Heritage. Some of the councils have got their own. The idea that I brought last year to the traders was to extend the closure on a Saturday from 9 till 1 to 9 till 4 in the afternoon. We came, as Mr Mayor has said, we've come with some it looked that were for it and some were against it, so it's been looked at more. I do feel eventually part of the pedestrianisation, I know the town team have been talking about it for a long time as well, it'll probably be a consultation period where hopefully maybe it can be brought to the council where we can send out a consultation to all the that's something we can work on. That'd be something I'll work on as part of my project scope regarding parking and the speeding.
Thank you very much, Councillor Marie. And then Councillor Mrs. George has another question.
Sorry, I do, and it's linked to what this gentleman has been talking about. In 2018, the town team ran a traffic survey in Sandwich. We delivered a survey to every single household in the town and to the businesses. 92% of the responses said that the highest priority in Sandwich was speeding and traffic. Yes. We put forward quite a lot of proposals, not just from the town team. These were, if you had a query about traffic, speeding, whatever, could you come back as well on your survey with a response? What would you do about it? And there was a lot of response there that said they'd like to see pedestrianisation in the centre of town or pedestrian priority, because that would have helped as well. Or that you could have closures after 10 o'clock in the morning and let it open again at 4. This is because some of the traders had an issue with deliveries. A lot, because of where we're placed in Sandwich, the deliveries, they can't control the times of deliveries. And as we all know from the traffic survey that we did even way before that, you know, trying to stop over 7.5 tonne weights coming into town, there is an issue that we have to allow over 7.5 trucks to come in if they've got business in the town. So I think there is an issue here about the closure of the centre of Sandwich. One of those things is now there is a fantastic opportunity. They've had the street closed for 5 or 6 weeks. I think it will go on for a little bit longer. Why can't we ask the traders now how they feel about having had the street shut? What difference has it made to their trade during that time? Because you see all the tables and chairs outside there now, people have put stalls out there. Just maybe there would be a slight change of heart. But there is a traffic issue in Sandwich. We've got more and more houses going up, great, more trade in the town, but it's creating more traffic coming through the town, and they speed through the town, and they go from one school to the other speeding through the town. We've been asking for such a long time for more to be done looking at speeding. We've got our own speed watch that we created from the town team. It needs more people to join it. But it's very restricting what you can do with speed watch and the cameras, the times that you can take it. We have no other cameras that measure the speed at which people are going. And the 20 mile per hour zone is not policed. And I don't mean that unkindly that it's not policed, but it's not controlled at all. We're narrow streets, one-way streets. Only one is two-way, and that's Moat Soul that comes round the town. Non-existing pavements, which is not helpful for all our people with buggies and disabilities. And I just don't understand why, and I'd really like an answer, why the councils, Kent County Council, can't work with us as they did previously when we got the lorry watch survey going. Work with the councillors, with the town team, whoever it is, to actually really have another look at how we can reduce the speeding in the town and how maybe we can move, if possible, to some sort of pedestrian priority or pedestrianisation in the centre. Because I do think that the residents really enjoy being able to walk safely.
Thank you for that. In a minute, I will ask the KCC councillors if they could give an answer to that. I just wanted to say initially, I've been working with a small number of residents from the High Street, which you know about actually, Carol, and we have written a large number of letters to the Chief Constable of Kent to ask him what he would do about the thing. Unfortunately, he said it was resources. The police are currently undertaking speed checks in the area, but once again, it's dependent on resources. One officer can't undertake it on their own. And indeed, there's several of us. Councillor Chuka, once again, I know, has been involved with speeding in the High Street and talking to some of the residents there. And as I say, there's one or two members that I've been talking to here as well this evening. And we've tried everybody, and everybody has said it's resources. If Sandwich Town Council were prepared to put up the money to put chicanes in, or speed humps, or flashing signs or things like that, so if we had several £1 million, then I believe Kent Highways would quite readily put forward the RTOs and the wherewithal to put this in place. But currently we're in a very difficult situation. Sandwich Town Council hasn't got the resources, the money to do these road measures, and in some cases we've been told these road measures can't actually be undertaken due to what you've just said, the roads being too narrow or too hilly or too many corners or too many junctions. Many years ago, I thought, when I first got on Sandwich Town Council, I thought to try and get a pedestrian crossing for the infant school for the children, which was from the King's Arms pub across to the Gays and Salts. And for about 4 years, I petitioned KCC, and they said that because of St Mary's Church and the corner and the visibility, I couldn't have my pedestrian crossing for the infant school children. And even 17 years later, I'm still disappointed that I haven't been able to put any protection in for those children. So,
stick a bus on the corner, right?
Sorry?
You can stick a bus stop on the
Oh, indeed. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's true. We may come on to that in a minute. So I didn't know, was there any councillors from KCC who would just like to explain further the situation? Thank you.
No, I mean, I just agree. I think you mentioned speed watching. Thanks for doing that. I'm a member of my local speed watch over in Whitstable. It is frustrating because you know you have to be in an approved site as soon as it gets dark, when the problem is pick up problem, you can't be there. When it rains, you can't be there, and that's actually when it's more risky. What you mentioned actually at the end when you were speaking about it's changing that prioritisation, isn't it? So that pedestrians feel like the space is for them, first and foremost. There are various ways of looking at that, and I do appreciate, some of these things come with big costs. But there are some things that can be done at the other end of the scale, and I think sometimes perhaps it's worth us going away, having another look at it on a holistic basis, because while there's not going to be millions of pounds appearing somewhere, that's not a reason not to look at the lower end stuff to start with and see what that does. You're not going to get from where we are now to utopian situation overnight. That's not a reason not to try to start nibbling away at the edges, perhaps. So let's have a conversation. I mean, once again, it comes back to that whole pyramid of prioritisation. If you want the roads around here, and this is a town centre clearly, where speeding cars are not wanted anywhere, but here in particular, it's got to be for those pedestrians, or the walkers, or the cyclists. If that can be looked at, if funds can be accessed, not via local funds or even local highways funds, there are pots for that. Let's get a wish list together. Let's see what could be possible. I think that's all we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Baker, on that one. So we have a couple. Oh, super. We've got PC Lauren to just speak on the speeding issue.
We have been doing speed checks along the road. So when I've done the drop-in sessions, which I do with the town councillors, speeding was one of the main points that was raised in the town. So I have had training in speed guns since I've taken up this position, and we have had several roads, mainly one of those being High Street along the top, and we have a good view down that road as well, so that we can capture some of the speeds that people are travelling at down there. We have working on, as you can imagine, there are lots of people, lots of residents that give us roads that they live on where speeding is an issue there. So we are trying to sort of address all of those roads, and it's logged every single time. And I would say that in the short period of time since December, when we've had the speed gun and we've been working on that, we've issued nearly 80 tickets, not just for speeding, but it's obviously, it gives us a gateway into other offences there, but yeah, we've reached about 80 in those 4 months. So we are working on it. It's something that my colleague and I are quite proactive in dealing with.
Thank you very much for that. We've got, this will be the last 2 questions. First of all, the lady on the right-hand side, and then we'll come back to Mr. Elliott as well. Would you like to stand? Did you need the microphone?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Thank you.
So, Jo Reynolds from the High Street. Again, about the speeding, I appreciate we can't, it's nibbling at the little bits, but what about some of the big organisations? So, for example, the bus companies. The speed at which the buses go past our houses is frightening. It's very, very dangerous. Surely we can at least tackle that by talking directly to the bus companies, because, I mean, it's not only the speed they go at, where you really feel at times that you're risking yourself as you step out the doors, especially those of us on the narrower pavements, but it's also the damage they're doing to the houses, the speed they go past, the heavy vehicles, the double-decker buses. It's doing quite a lot of structural damage, I believe.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all of this is being noted down, so we will be able to take this back to whichever authority requires it. And then the last question tonight, due to the time, will be Mr. Elliott, please.
Come to the front and speak up, because that actually distorts what's said in the sessions. Just simply to say that whatever is done, the whole problem should be looked at in its totality, and to look at it with a view to having a scheme that will address the problems for cars, pedestrians, people going from A to B across, through or shopping in the town, and the bus services and the bus stop, and the state of the roads for the cars and vehicles, and the pavements for the pedestrians and young mothers with young children and prams. Walking round Sandwich at any time is extremely hazardous, and I'm reasonably fit and able. But the roads at the pavement services are abysmal. I know it's a prehistoric town pretty well in some people's views. But the whole thing needs to be put as one big interlocked problem. How do you move round and through Sandwich by whatever means? On foot, or by wheel vehicles, and deliveries, and getting children home from school and to school, and just pushing trams and so on. And it needs a working party with no particular act to grind except to plan what we should be aiming for over a period of time as money becomes available and priorities are established.
This gentleman's made a very important point, but specifically because one of the big problems with the speed in around this beautiful old medieval town is that those cars that are using that at speed, they are not bringing anything into the town at all. All they're doing is they're using it as a through route. There's a total anarchy with lots of drivers. They disregard the speed. They're not bothered about the town. They're not doing anything at all for the town. All they're doing is bringing something negative. And when this gentleman there says it wants to be looking at as a whole project, he hits it right squarely on the head. Because, yes, I live in the chain. It's not even a guy with reasonable broad shoulders. It's not even wide enough on the pathway to walk without turning to one side. That could be at the point in a bus or a car or even a motorcycle running motorcycles two abreast. And all they want to do is race down there and the noise to bounce off the walls. It is totally alien to what we all love about this town. And, you know, Paul, we are extremely lucky that we've got you in this town. I know you, I've met you, you know that. And you are a sincere man and do your best to make a difference. But what we are coming up against is a total negativity. And with respect to everybody, oh, I'll go away and do this, yeah, I'll come back to it. You know what? It's not about money. It's about getting people just to do what's right. Not racing through there because they don't want to spend an extra 5 minutes on a bypass. You know? I live in a chain. I bought my house. I've lived in this town for 30 years. Do I want this? No, I don't. Do I want it as part of my life? Does anyone in the high street and the chain want that in their life? No, they do not. They want just to enhance, they want to live, and they want the whole town to live forever as it is now. And it will not happen all the time. People just use it as a throwaway, and they just want to race there and just not bring anything to the town. That's what's happening at the
When was
moment.
the last time we had a pollution check? Because the volume of cars and the proximity to the road that our houses have, and when we step outside, the pollution is horrendous. You've only got to wipe the edge of your windowsill. You could do it every hour. What's that doing to our children, our grandchildren, us? What's it doing to our lungs? We asked for a pollution check about 3 years ago. We're still waiting.
With respect to the police, with respect, I can lay in my bed at night, particularly through the summer months, and listen to the motorcycles racing on the bypass. Nothing is done. No one cares. Do they care? Well, if they care, let's all do something about it. Because at the moment, nothing is being done, and that cannot be done.
Thank you very much. Thank you for those last few comments. And as you said, you know I'm a sincere man, and that is what I'm about. I will not guarantee you anything. I will not make you hollow promises, but I will say that myself and the sandwich councillors would try to convene a traffic forum, a traffic meeting in this year. And what we will do is we will ask the stakeholders to come along, KCC, DDC, the police, and the buses as well, the bus company as well. And we will hold a traffic forum. I believe one was held previously by Craig McKinley MP, and we will hold one here in this Guildhall in this forthcoming year, and we will get some answers for you, and we will bring that back to you, not in a year hence, but as soon as we possibly can. So. And on that note, I'd just like to say, before I close this meeting down, I just want to say a few thank yous. The first thank you has got to go to the town clerk, because she's done a fantastic job. Thank you, Jill, for organising tonight. It's been run like clockwork, so thank you. I'd then like to thank all of our honoured guests that have come tonight, some probably from some distance, so I'm very grateful for you all to come and be here to answer questions, and we always rely upon you to support our town, so thank you very much for coming there as well. I must mention Christina, because I've given her an award, so I'd like to thank Christina for filming tonight. For those people, I know one lady who said to me, what's happening about housebound people being able to view this meeting when they can't come here? So thank you very much to Christina for filming tonight. I'd also like to thank my councillors, because I think we've got nearly all of them here bar one. So thank you very much for coming tonight. And thank you so much for so much hard work over this last year, because the amount of work that I've seen done and the improvements in this town have astounded me, and that's just in my 17 years of being here. So thank you very much to the councillors. And then lastly, the big thank you goes to this meeting wouldn't be anything without all of you, all the people that have come here tonight, the people that have put questions in, and the people that are interested and prepared to put their head above the parapet to get things done in this town. So thank you very much to all the public for coming tonight and attending this meeting. Thank you very much. Thank you, and a safe journey home. I'd like to close the meeting now, and I hope you've all had a relatively good time. Thank you very much. Bye.